because all you can do is put out the good content, put your best foot forward, and if it doesn't work out, you just got to turn the page, because honestly, no one else gives a shit about how many likes or how many views you have, except for you.
Yeah.
You're your own worst critic, and that's sometimes a tough thing for a lot of people on social media. It is you versus you. Are you going to do this video today? Are you going to edit this? Are you going to do the voiceover? How many are you going to put out? All this stuff. I mean, we're not in some race to put up as much content as possible, but I think for a lot of the successful social media foodies in town, there's just this innate will to put it out as much as they do. I mean, you gotta have to want it. You gotta have to want to be consistent.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Zach, aka Vanilla Rice, here with another episode of Rich Off Food Podcast, where we interview restaurant owners, food truck owners, and real food bosses, anybody in the food space. This one is very special to me. This is a good friend of mine. He is the mayor of Las Vegas. That might have just given it away. You might not recognize his face, but you definitely recognize his voice. You might have seen him drinking sake out of a tuna fish. He has some of the craziest videos online, super high-end restaurants that he posts. Incredible guy, marketer. We got Las Vegas Phil.
Thanks for having me, man.
In the house. Thank you for coming.
Congrats on the podcast.
I appreciate it.
And I'm super excited whenever people venture out, do new projects, because, enhancing your brand, enhancing yourself. I mean, congrats.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And I also wanted to do it for that and for community as well, to get restaurant owners and food truck owners and food influencers to get their story out. Like we see what's online, it's cool, but, we want to know how you got here, right? And so I appreciate that. You actually inspired me when I saw your podcast. I was like, man, Phil's got a podcast. I need a podcast.
Awesome.
Could you bring it a little closer? Just
yeah, for sure. How's the audio sound?
We good, Joe?
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, I saw that and I was like, that's so cool. I was like, one day I'm going to have a podcast.
I love that.
Yeah.
Every time someone brings up the podcast or say they were inspired from something we talked about, or they bought something because one of the guests referred that, I love it.
Yeah.
It really makes it worth it to do all of this.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. And you're super busy. I mean, I don't even know how many accounts do you have right now?
So
that you're managing.
I manage 15 accounts,
Jesus. But
my wife handles 4 independently. She is really good at editing her own video. And so when I go to her spots, I'm the assistant doing the crab cracks.
You're just the employee.
And the chopstick lifts and all that kind of stuff. So, 15's been great. It's the perfect fine line between quality of life and work. Yeah. So it's been awesome.
Because it's busy. You have to go to these restaurants and create this content, right?
Yes. However, a lot of these clients I've had since like 2018, 2019. Wow. So it's just been great partnerships. And so I don't have to go as often. It's really when influencers, whether in Vegas or from out of town, that are super interested in going in, I'll go in with them to kind of chit chat with them and then kind of set up the shots.
Yeah. I mean, what a great life, right? You get to eat a lot of good food.
Beats working.
You get to record videos and you get to edit, right? So I know you didn't come. You were not born and raised in Vegas. You're from.
I grew up in Boston.
Boston, yes. Tom Brady, New England Patriots. Yeah. All
Boston sports.
And so that's what I'm interested on. And I think I might have asked you this before, but why didn't? This is a funny question, but why don't you just stay in Boston and become instead of Las Vegas Phil? Why don't you become Boston Phil?
It's a great question. I was ready to leave Boston, honestly, when I was like 11 years old.
Oh, wow.
I knew it wasn't for me at all. Growing up where I did, it was primarily Irish, Italian. There were no African-American families living in my town.
You're not Irish and Italian?
No.
Okay, gotcha.
I didn't have any Jewish friends, nothing. And there was maybe a handful of Asian families that lived there, and it was kind of racist. So I was ready to go as soon as possible. So I graduated high school.
Stand out there?
Yeah, a little bit. Me and my brother kind of stood out, and the bowl cuts my mom used to give me didn't really help my situation, especially with girls. Yeah. So I moved to New York City after that. I went to NYU, and that's when I kind of became an adult, grew up, and learned about life.
Gotcha. So you moved out of Boston. You knew at a young age that was not the place that you wanted to be.
Not at all.
And so from going to New York, when were you like, all right, cool, I'm going to Vegas? Or,
So I'm a lot older than people think I am. But
you look young. You look like you're in your early 30s.
Yeah, no kids and a lot of pork belly probably
That's
help.
what it is. Yeah, yeah.
I lived in New York City for 10 years. I was in the music business.
Music business.
Yeah. I majored in music in college. I played guitar.
Really?
That was my thing.
I mean,
I've had several lifetimes of jobs.
yeah, that's wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Keep
Yeah.
going. That was interesting.
I toured the Ozfest for 2 years in the summer when I was like 21, 22. It was amazing. And then I traveled the country for work. Then certain circumstances happened. I was sick of the snow.
I was waiting for you to say that about
Yeah,
either Boston.
I
or
will
anything.
never live anywhere in snow ever again. There's
Wow.
no way. And I decided to flip my life completely around. I moved to Japan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I sold all my shit, sold my apartment. Wish I kept the apartment in Brooklyn.
That'd
But
been cool. Yeah. It would have quadrupled or.
I know,
Yeah.
I know, God. But I moved to Japan. I taught English for 2 years.
Wow.
That's where I met my wife. We work for the same company.
Okay, so that's what I was wondering because her name on Instagram is.
She's Japanese.
She's Japanese.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's from Japan.
Yes.
Got it.
And that's when I kind of realized I was a foodie. I never really thought about it until I was in Japan, thinking about all the cuisines I missed, along with all the things I had, all the things I saw in Japan and traveling around Asia.
Yeah.
Kind of woke up my senses for food. And
You have a lot of good food out there as well, but like
Yeah.
you said, you started to realize all the foods that you missed and like
Totally.
craved when you just kind of took them for granted.
Dude, I was dreaming about Mexican food.
Really?
Like, first month I was in Japan. First of all, I was
They
constantly
don't have
starving.
Mexican restaurants in Japan?
No, it's shitty. It was shitty then. I think it's
Got it.
changed a little bit now.
Gotcha.
But yeah, in order to make tacos at home in Japan, I mean, the salsa was like this big, like $6.
Oh, wow.
And like,
Because is it imported or they
right,
make it? Got
right.
it.
Finding
Yeah.
cheese, finding a bag of nachos was like that bag's like this
Damn,
big. There's no
that's
such
crazy.
thing as like the
Family
gigantic.
size.
No.
Wow.
So like even doing that process kind of sucked. And so I just stuck to sushi.
Gotcha. So you stuck to sushi.
Yeah.
You're in Japan for 2 years teaching English, dreaming about tacos and Italian food and
All that
everything. And when did you finally decide to come to Vegas?
So during that time, early 2000s, I was playing a ton of poker. I was making.
This is like the fourth life you said in the last.
I know.
How long have we been recording? Like 5 minutes? Damn,
I'm
bro.
85 years old.
That's hey.
Yeah.
At this time, I'm starting to believe it.
Yeah. So I was playing a lot of poker in the early 2000s when the online boom happened, Chris Moneymaker. So even in Japan, I would be playing all these tournaments, and I made a pretty good amount of money. I would make more doing that than teaching English in Japan.
So you're teaching English in the day, playing poker at night,
Right.
living a double life.
Pretty much.
Kinda.
Pretty much. No sleep.
That's awesome.
And I decided, my wife and I traveled around the States for about a month and a half and decided to move to Vegas, give it a shot.
Were you guys looking at other spots to go, or were you just Vegas set on it?
Yes. So we were considering LA,
Okay.
Miami, and Vegas.
Oh, all the top spots.
Right.
You guys were only, if you were coming back, you're only going to the top.
Pretty much.
Wow.
But Miami was impossible. If you're not bilingual, if you don't speak Spanish, I think you're basically a second-class citizen. It's hard to be successful without being fluent in Spanish.
Yeah.
LA, the
Vegas.
traffic was too much.
Yeah.
So
Vegas was a
and
healthy
cost,
medium.
Yeah, cost of living was great. Never snows, thank God.
Yeah.
And
Gets all hot only a couple months out of the year. as
Right,
well.
and there's always something to do.
So when you moved out here, were you still playing poker?
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah, we're playing a ton.
And that was your main income at that time?
So the first 3 months, here's the thing. With gambling, playing poker, it's hard to balance a regular life and all the gambling stuff. If you are on a bad downswing where you're losing money, which happens probably 40%, 45% of the time to the average poker player, it's emotionally taxing. And
For sure.
I had a hard time eventually figuring out a good balance. I would sit at a poker table and I'd look at everyone around me and I'm thinking, I would never want to hang out with any of these guys
Wow.
ever. And so finally and we kind of did that. I did work as well in timeshare in the daytime.
Gotcha.
And then once the U.S. government shut down online poker, what I thought was the worst thing to ever happen to me was probably the best thing to ever happen to me, because then I
Really?
kind of opened up my eyes to what else was out there in Vegas.
Yeah.
and kind of
And
went from there.
so they shut that down. You're probably freaking out because this
Totally.
is your, you make a lot of money, and it's also a high. Gambling's a high you get.
Yeah.
When did you record from then to your first video? How long was it till you recorded your first video?
Okay, so there's several steps what happened how it led to Instagram. I had a swing shift job, so when my wife picked me up from work, we only had one car at the time. We would go ahead dinner at 11 p.m., midnight. So I was always scouring for late night spots. That's when I discovered Yelp, and then eventually I started writing reviews.
Oh, for Yelp.
Yeah, and then that's how I kind of became known for food in Vegas. I kind of became Yelp famous around 2011, 2012, and it was starting to get weird when people started recognizing me from my Yelp reviews back then.
Like, you're that asshole.
Pretty much. And it wasn't until maybe 2015, 2016 when I saw like the initial group of food Instagrammers kind of presenting food in a different way where they can just talk about one dish. Instead, I write a whole review on the
experience
entire
and customer service, food, all that.
Right. And I saw those guys were blowing up, Unlocked, Ryu Sauce, Eat Me Las Vegas, Happy Tummies, Savor Sin City.
They were some people that you definitely looked up to in the game when you started.
Yeah, for sure.
Now they're your friends.
Yeah. So how that happened was I had all these restaurant connections through Yelp, and I could never do events or things like that because it was very NCAA at the time. You could only write Yelp reviews on places that you paid for. If they found out it was a comp or things like that, Yelp would take it down.
Because they want an honest review.
They want an honest review.
Comp, it's going to be like, that was the best food ever.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
So through those connections with restaurants, finally, when starting Instagram, I was able to set up Instagram events. And all these people I didn't know, how do I get to hang out with all these guys? Well, I'll just invite them to these great events. And then they were forced to hang out with me and forced to become friends with me. Pretty much.
So when you say these events, are these the events that we see now where there's like 10 or 12 influencers, everybody's got their camera and lights out, and everybody's eating a whole bunch of food?
Correct. That was what it was initially. And sometimes we would do, 10 people up to like 25 people at some of the spots. But the problem with that now is, especially with influencers or foodies with a larger following, they don't want to go to the events because they don't want to shoot the same content that everyone else.
Everybody's trying to differentiate themselves.
Right. So if they go by themselves, they get a different look. They can work on certain shots in the kitchen and things like that. Yeah. And that's kind of what's happening now. But yeah, the big events still happen, of course.
Yeah, I see them a lot now. I mean, I guess I never realized them before, but I know exactly what you're talking about. So that's what you started doing.
Yeah.
Started hosting those. Mm-hmm. And at that time, you started your Instagram.
I started my Instagram. Started taking it seriously around 2017.
Okay.
Yeah, I maybe had 2,000 followers in January 2017.
Yeah, now you've got
maybe 4,000.
Yeah. Like 500,000 times.
Yeah.
So you started posting on there, right? And then you were getting paid from Yelp, correct, to write these reviews?
I wasn't getting paid from Yelp.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so the whole key with
you were
Yelp...
just doing it for what?
To get the Elite badge, which allowed you to get into Yelp Elite events, which were, at that time, what Instagram events are now.
Got it.
So you would get it invited to these exclusive dinners or restaurants. Eating for free was like always the goal at that time.
And so that's kind of where I want to go is like, at what point, what type of event did you have that ticked you to be like, I want to eat for free. I want to go to these nice restaurants. Where was that for you?
I think it was through Instagram when I saw those original guys doing it.
But even with the Yelp, like how did you think to even do that?
So I didn't even know it was a thing. I thought really it was all about just getting the Yelp badge, which gave you cred for your reviews, and people would.
But why did you want the cred?
Why?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. Like what?
It was more the writing bug than anything else.
Okay, got it. You like to write.
I liked to write. I enjoyed it, and then when I read other people's opinions, if I disagreed with them, I would kind of give my own twist to it. It was kind of organic.
Like voicing your opinion.
Yeah, because I'm hitting up the same spots that these guys recommended, and I either agreed or disagreed with that. So, yeah, it was more of a writing bug than anything else. It could have been food. It could have been something else.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I really want to know, you know what I mean? And I know we'll get into it more, and you explained it a lot right there. I feel like as we go more, it's going to start to come out, you know, something a
For
little
sure.
deeper in there, you know? And so you started doing that. I mean, your Instagram now, your TikTok now is just incredible. You've touched my restaurant a few times, and I've seen the effects.
Thankfully, somebody came.
The fill effects, you know? Let's go into that, right? Are you ever nervous that your video is not going to do good? And if your video doesn't do good, what do you blame it on?
I'm nervous all the time.
Okay.
To be honest. And I almost have a poker mentality to it now where you don't relive your wins. You only think about your losses and stew over that.
Yeah.
So if a post doesn't perform as well as I want it to, I kind of stew over it and overanalyze. What could I have done differently? Is the cover wrong? Should I have done a different caption? Should I have posted a different time? Should I have opened the video with this?
How many times do you think that it's you versus just the food that you're recording? Like maybe it's that. I mean, and it's so funny. Let me say this. Are you selective with the restaurants that you choose? Or
Absolutely. I'm not shooting acai bowls or stuff like that.
Gotcha.
It has to be something that I would willfully go to on my own without social media. And
Gotcha.
I say this quite often, without Instagram, without TikTok, I think I'd still be going out all the time and just spending my own money going to all these great restaurants.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people have that perception of, these guys that get paid, they just, go to any restaurant and say that it tastes good. But you're going in there with the intent that, no, I'd already go here. I just happen to also, want to help them out as well.
For sure. I really feel like I want to back the place that I post. Somebody out there is going to spend their hard-earned money to go to a place because I posted it, and that definitely means a lot to me.
And for your reputation as well.
For sure.
You're the guy that posts the bad food. You don't want that.
No. Unfortunately, over the past year, I've probably had maybe 5 or 6 places where I've come in a shot and the food just wasn't up to par, and it breaks my heart to tell them, look, this is what's wrong. This is why I'm not posting, and I'm sorry.
And even in the last podcast, we were talking about customer experience, right? And so, it's easy for people to say like, oh, they're just the influencers. They just, they charge these restaurants money, this and that. But no, like you want to help them with either the experience or even the presentation. And have you ever had an experience where you wanted to give some advice and like the owner was like, nah, homie, I'm not doing that?
Well, nobody wants unsolicited critique. I think it hurts anybody's pride, especially with a restaurant, because nobody appreciates how many hours a restaurant owner dedicates to their craft, because it's not just 11 to 9. It's 8 a.m. when you're prepping everything and you're getting
the same thing.
Going.
Like that $15 dish that I put out. I started that 2 days ago.
Yeah.
For prep.
And nobody appreciates that, for sure. So, I mean, I kind of say I'm the king of unsolicited advice, and I just can't help myself. But I need to tell them why I'm not posting.
Well, I know as a restaurant owner, I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses. So when somebody like you or another influencer comes in and they ask me, hey, Zach, what's your best dish? I said, what do you think we should post, right? Because I know what I can make, but I don't necessarily. And as the years have gone by, I do have the eye somewhat now, but you're the expert. You guys do it. I'm like, whatever you think is going to blow up. I want as much traction as possible.
Yeah.
So I take it and I love it, right? I'm like, give me all the unsolicited advice. If my lemon's on the left side, you think it looks better on the right, please tell me. Everything.
Sorry. The whole stand?
Yeah. Here.
Okay.
Right there.
This is okay?
Is it? I don't think it's good. Okay.
Perfect. There we go.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Beautiful. It's probably because we're looking at each other and you're like over here like this. I love it. This is great. We're jamming, bro.
But going back to posts and blame, critiquing myself when it doesn't do well, there's a lot of factors. And everyone wants to talk about the algorithm, the A word, and nobody knows shit about that.
Oh my gosh.
Okay?
I said this past 2 weeks. I'm like, if we knew the algorithm, every one of my videos would go viral.
Right. Unless you're Morpheus from the Matrix, fuck off and
Unless
don't talk to
you're
me
Mark
about
Zuckerberg's wife.
Yeah, don't talk to me about the algorithm.
Yeah.
Because all you can do is put out the good content, put your best foot forward, and if it doesn't work out, you just got to turn the page, because honestly, no one else gives a shit about how many likes or how many views you have.
Yeah.
Except for you.
Yeah.
I mean, you're your own worst critic, and that's sometimes a tough thing for a lot of people on social media. It is you versus you. Are you going to do this video today? Are you going to edit this? Are you going to do the voiceover? How many are you going to put out? All this stuff. I mean, we're not in some race to put up as much content as possible, but I think for a lot of the successful social media foodies in town, there's just this innate will to put it out as much as they do. I mean, you gotta have to want it. You gotta have to want to be consistent.
I think too that there's a lot of, I guess, not misinformation, but everybody is a social media guru when it comes to the algorithm. Everybody claims that they know the algorithm. So I even get confused. I'm like, here's a good example. These past 3 weeks, my engagement has been so low, like low. To
IG
where,
in general has been tough for across the board.
You hear that? That's why he knows. All right, he does. He's part Morpheus. But it's so funny because these past couple of weeks, I'm tripping. I'm like, 30 likes on a video for my page is not normal, right? I'll take 150. It's low. You know what I mean? I'm like, that's low for what I normally get, but 30? I'm like, this is not, and I'm posting the same kind of things I post. So I'm sitting there beating myself up like, man, my algorithm sucks. People are going to think this, that, woo-de-woo. But, you know, for me, it's just the consistency. Keep posting it. Maybe, truthfully, this is what I think. Mm-hmm. I think that the algorithm rewards people that are creative and have quality and consistency. I think they reward those people with the likes and everything like that because they want you to put quality time and effort. Like if I just film some stuff on my Android and I go post it, the algorithm's going to be like, bro, you did no effort to do this. Why would I push this to millions of people? That's what I think. I could be wrong. I mean, maybe you can elaborate. Because your videos, and I don't mean to cut you off, your videos are very well thought of, high quality.
Thank you.
You take a lot of time to put into that and you get rewarded very well.
I try. But so what's a good way to explain this? There's a few ways I try to analyze posts. I mean, pretty much the biggest thing to do would be to just hit the explore page and start running through all the ones that are blowing up and see what they're doing differently than you. For example, one of the biggest things that people are doing in the past 6 months is the opener with all the text. And that seems to be a successful thing. If you can immediately let the audience know what they're looking at instead of listening to the voiceover or things like that, that kind of grabs them, at least to the first 3 seconds, first 5 seconds. Okay. So that's one thing that has definitely changed a lot for a lot of people's posts. But I think it's just trying a lot of different things. A lot of times, especially with social media clients that I've had for so long, I try to envision if I got fired, what would the new person do? What would they come in with a brand new pair of eyes?
Good way to look at it.
And that has helped me a ton because when you're, posting pasta stuffed into hoagies, I mean, there's only so much you can do. You think there's only so much you can do, but there's a lot more you can do. Yeah,
and so that's kind of where I started thinking was like, wow, I've been doing the same content. It's been working. Then out of nowhere. And like you said, Instagram's been down. So with that not happening, right, I'm sitting there going, maybe it's just because I have been and that's the other misinformation. They say be consistent. So I'm posting consistently. Then out of nowhere, it drops. So then I'm like, but I've been consistent. What's going on? But then I'm like, no, maybe I just need to be innovative. Maybe I do need to switch it up. And maybe Instagram's like, all right, bro, we've been seeing the same stuff from you. When are you you're getting comfortable.
True.
And
it's possible.
That's what goes through my head as a restaurant owner.
Yeah, perhaps maybe shooting cinematic for a week, see what happens, or dive into the crazy templates that Instagram keeps pushing out.
Yeah.
And that could make editing videos for a lot of restaurant owners a lot easier if they just use those instead of digging into InShot or whatever to edit the video and add music themselves.
Well, this is my little secret that I'll put out there.
Okay.
Not the Explore page. Well, I guess it's the Explore Reel page, that button where you can scroll through Reels. Anybody that's got a video on there that's got in the 5-figure likes or up, I'm sending that to my person that edits, my girl. She edits. I send it to my girl and I go, we need a video like this or with this sound. And that's been working for me.
Yeah.
I'm like, the answers are right there on the answers of why your videos aren't going viral. Well, not why they're not going viral, but what could help you to go viral is on the page already. This dude is spraying ribs with vinegar and he's got like 30,000 likes, and it's a song. I'm like, either it's the song, it's the ribs, it's the way he sprays, but we got to use one of what he's doing at least.
Totally.
And try. And so that's what I try to do every single time, is just not try to, do something different. I just try to, do what's working and just put my little twist on it.
I love it. And in a way, that's you taking a risk and branching out and doing your own thing. And I think that's what you should consistently be doing on social media. I am always scouring for new talent.
Yeah.
Whenever the national social media accounts come in to shoot at my place, I really want to meet them and kind of watch how they shoot. I learn a little bit of everything from everyone whenever they come in and shoot, because everyone does it differently.
Yeah. No, I agree. I definitely know what you mean, because I see these other accounts, and it's easy to think, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? What are they doing different? It looks just like mine. But no, you know what? Just be different and take a little bit of stuff from everybody and make your own. That's what I think. But
I agree. I mean, if you're just don't blame the algorithm for everything, you got to look at the mirror. You got to look in the mirror and really think, is that the best content that you could have possibly pulled out? Do you think that's a 10K like post or whatever? Like, maybe it's not. Maybe it's you.
Yeah. I had to do the same exact thing. I looked at myself and said, bad content creator. You've been doing the same thing over and over again. You need to switch it up, But the first week I was like the algorithm. Second week I go, no, it's my videos.
Yeah.
No,
don't
that's
say
incredible.
the A word.
Yeah. Yeah, right. The A word. I love it. This is incredible so far. Let's pivot a little bit to the Vegas Brunch Boys.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm not really the best spokesperson for that.
No, I know you're not, but I want to hear from your lens, bro.
It's a blast. I mean, very rarely, the older I get, I realize a lot of men just don't have a lot of friends to hang out with. And if they're a regular family man with a regular 9 to 5, they probably go home, have dinner with the family, and maybe play video games and go to bed. And so for me, I mean, fortunately with social media, it's opened me up to a lot of cool contacts, cool friends, cool acquaintances.
Yeah.
And Vegas Brunch Boys is just a great example of, being a part of social media and being able to party it up at some of the best spots in Vegas.
I remember we partied at, where was that?
Tao.
Tao Beach. Oh, that was fun. I had a good time.
Yeah.
And it's funny you're even saying that, because I hadn't gone out, bro. That was the second time I've ever been to a club. I'm born and raised in Las Vegas, and that was the second time I've ever been to a club. And I was like, this is fun, but I see how it can get dangerous.
Oh, yeah. Vegas Brunch Boy events, I take the next day off, because I know, especially at a daytime event, I mean, there's no plans at night, because I'm usually just a shit show.
Yeah, by 4 o'clock.
For sure.
Right? Yeah, that was such a good time. I had so much fun. I was like, I never even, like I said, bro, my friends never went out like that. I was like, these guys are cool, And the cool part about it is they're all food influencers, right? Or okay, I got a question.
Sure.
So there's difference between food influencers, lifestyle influencers, content like, is it different things, or are they all in one bubble? Can you explain that a little bit?
So the label I'm not a big fan of. I don't even like the word
you're
foodie.
A foodie. Yeah,
right.
I don't know. That's weird. It sounds weird.
Because when I talk to people outside of social media and I call these people foodies, they're like, well, I'm a foodie too. It's just like I don't post. So when I say foodies, I mean like social media people with a following.
For a job, yeah.
Right. Because that's just the world I'm in. But it's just it's really the easiest way to identify ourselves to people that aren't in the world. So yeah, there's all different kinds of people doing all different kinds of content. The labels are kind of whatever.
Yeah.
Some people mesh lifestyle and food stuff, where personally for me, you'd never see me in a picture endorsing a watch or something like that.
Yeah.
So
because that's your lane. We have different lanes. Yeah.
Right. But I think influencer, post 2020, that is just the standard word for anyone who is promoting things or getting paid to do things.
So I'm start calling them influencers.
I guess so.
Got it.
It's just the easiest way. Content creators are people perhaps maybe that don't have a following, that are just really good
at content,
at editing video and making content. There's a lot of those in town too. I am interested as to why they don't want to do it themselves
and build their own following and
Yeah.
do that. Yeah, because they do it for everybody else.
because in the long run they have to still rely on the Las Vegas foodie to come in or Hooked LV to come in to promote the place. Where, fortunately, if based on scheduling, I can attempt to blow up the place myself instead of relying on other people to do it.
Yeah, gotcha. No, I appreciate you giving that clarity because I was curious. I'm like, are they foodies? Are they content creators? It's a little bit of everything.
Yeah. I think
but
it's
I'll start saying influencers are coming into the restaurant. Yeah, no, I like that. So, how important to you? How important do you think that it is for a restaurant owner to either get somebody to run their account for them or just reach out to influencers to do collaborations?
I think they're both very important. I mean, first of all, you need, as a restaurant, you need to have somebody posting at least 3 to 4 times a week on the page, especially in Vegas where you've basically entered the Olympics of restaurants.
Yep.
And it's just a battle.
It's a battlefield.
Yeah. I mean, all the respect to restaurant owners like yourself all the time. Like, people ask me when I'm opening up my own place, I talk to enough of you guys all the time to realize, like, this is not where I want to be.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my last questions. Was you ever look to open a restaurant? But we'll get to that later.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so. But
Las Vegas Phil's, man. That sounds like a cool restaurant.
Maybe it'd probably be a food court, if anything.
That would be dope.
Yeah, because I want variety. But
Gotcha.
I think
Keep that in mind.
if you can identify certain influencers or foodies that work with your kind of style of food, I mean, those are just the ideal partnerships that will hopefully go off. But, bringing people in and now it's really just a temporary Band-Aid,
Oh, yeah.
right? I mean, the posts don't last. I mean, usually on IG a post lasts maybe at best like 6 weeks.
Yeah, I was going to say a couple weeks.
And TikTok maybe at best like 6 months.
Yeah.
But it's probably a couple weeks.
Yeah, I know because I do my own social media.
Yeah.
I don't have anybody running my account, which as I expand, I definitely want to get more into that because, when I have 2, 3, 4, 5 locations, it's going to be hard. And I would definitely want to put that on to somebody else that does that for a profession.
Yeah.
Right now it's fun to me because
Sure.
I
It's
was
your baby.
talking to this. Yeah, I was talking to this with somebody yesterday. Is that I'm not even a restaurant owner. I'm a content creator as well. I'm an influencer as well. I'm a social media marketer. That's what I said. I'm a social media marketer because I have to be out there being creative, being innovative. Because at the end of the day, I'm a social media marketer that just happens to have a restaurant. Because if I have all the great food, but I don't know how to market myself, I'm just sitting in a box like this, hoping people come in.
Sure.
And so I definitely, I think I do a great job, but I know the importance of collabing as well and doing that. You guys, obviously it's a profession, so you have to get paid. I guess the way to word it is like, when restaurant owners reach out and you're willing to do it, a post for them, it's something in your niche. When they start talking about price and all that kind of stuff and you're saying you're too expensive or something like that, how do you combat that? Or do you just not work with those restaurants?
I mean, I'll work with, I never want to price out the small guys. I mean, if it's interesting food or interesting content, my price for a food truck would be different than Texas de Brazil or something like that.
Yeah, or with a bigger budget. Yeah.
Or a bigger brand. And in a lot of ways, maybe some of these influencers are tone deaf to understanding the other side of it with the business owner and how much they're actually making.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just ding up a mom and pop place for 6 G's. I mean, that's crazy because
that might be their entire profit.
right. That's a whole year
Yeah.
probably for them to even consider spending on social media. So I think there needs to be some understanding on both ends. But I wouldn't, if it's interesting to me, I'll still go in for free sometimes because I know there's no money here. Like, for me to hit them up is where a couple $100 is nothing to me. That's a lot to them, and their bottom line. So I understand that.
So going off of that, if I'm a restaurant owner, right, I have no budget to pay a Las Vegas Phil. Where should I start? How should I even start?
So I would probably just go with an email or a DM and just break down like.
No, okay, not necessarily. My bad to cut you off. Not necessarily with you. I just meant to get to that level to where I can start getting some money and like I don't really have a social media presence. I don't have enough money to pay some of these influencers. How should I start to get my brand out there and then to eventually be able to get to that level to reach out to you?
So if something looks so good or is so eye catching, I think people will want to go no matter what. And this is a very interesting other way to look at it too. Like, if an influencer gets paid for a post and it goes off for like 5 million views, a lot of times those other videos that they have in their back pocket, they're going to want to post themselves anyway because, hey, it went off.
They want to build their own.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And that's, if the content's good enough, the price really doesn't matter a lot of the time.
So if I'm, and this kind of happened for me, right? When I first started my food truck, I remember reaching out to Raina, and I didn't even know you at the time. I reached out to Hooked, and they gave me these prices, and I was like, damn. I was like, whoa. Yeah. For one post?
Yeah.
I said, I think I'm in the wrong industry. I should have been a content or an influencer, right? Obviously, I got to lay in the bed I made, and I realized, nope, restaurant owner, got to keep hustling, but... So for me, it was like, well, damn, I eventually want to get them to post. So what I did was I just started making my own content.
Yes, and that's what I would advise anyone to do. If you don't have enough money for anything, shoot it yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that helped me a lot because truthfully, that might have been the time when the influences, and that was what, 2024, 2020, about 4 years ago, that's when, even Hooked was still super popular, not anywhere near where he is now.
Amazing what he's done.
And even the Las Vegas Foodie, all those people, like, once they started seeing my posts get traction, then they were hitting me up like, your posts are going, getting some numbers. We want to put you on our page so we can help our numbers. And then it helped me. And then next thing I know, they showed love and they did it because they maybe the relationship I built. But the next thing you know, I'm like, well, no, now I want to pay you. I'm like, now I can't afford you. Right?
Totally.
And so that's some advice that I give to restaurant owners is to definitely start making your own content. And if you don't know how to do it, if you don't know anything these days, bro, you're just a fool because there's Google. I'm a Google chef. I say I'm a Google and YouTube entrepreneur. I didn't know anything starting this.
I love it. Yeah, you
everything.
You could literally learn anything you want on YouTube or Google if you dig deep enough.
Yeah, and then so obviously I threw my networking events. And I'm gonna throw more, which I need you. Gotta come to the next one, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to, bro. Just you don't gotta speak. But I need the Las Vegas feel.
All right.
No, you don't gotta go. But how important is it to build like a community as a influencer, wanting not build community, but get involved in the influencer community as they're coming up? If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
It's for me personally. It's very important because that's where new ideas happen. Because people like me and my posts, sometimes I feel like I'm kind of stuck in my own ways, and these are the people that kind of open me up to different ideas. And yeah, there's quite a few influencers that are big now that I probably reached out to when they were a lot smaller because I wanted to meet them, wanted to pick their brain and see what's going on. Talls is probably the biggest example of that. Back in maybe August of 2020 when she was doing voiceovers, nobody was really doing voiceovers at that time, so that blew my fucking mind.
Yeah.
And now it's the standard.
Yeah, everybody
4 years
does
later,
voiceovers.
if you're not doing a voiceover, you're just doing a straight up music video, especially for a personal brand account. You're kind of lagging behind.
Yeah,
for sure.
Gotcha. So if I'm a small influencer, I'm starting out, I'm coming up, and if I reached out to you, what are the qualifications I need to get an answer back from Las Vegas Phil?
I usually like to keep my inbox at 0 messages, so I usually do reply, but a lot of times if they just want to hang out or meet, it has to be...
You don't have time for that, bro.
It has to be something interesting about them that piques my interest in wanting to meet them. If they only have 200 followers, but the reels look great and all that kind of stuff, hey, I know they're going to be big eventually. If they stay consistent.
So put in the work up front, right? Show that you can do it and be consistent. I was talking to Bullethead, and he was saying the same thing. He's like, content creators hit me up all the time. He's like, and I'm not, they're starting out, and, I'm not, I want to hang out, but I don't want to give them advice if they're just not going to post after 2 months.
Right.
you know, I want to see that they're consistent already, because if I give them some advice and they stop and quit, it's like I just kind of just a waste of time.
I agree. And there's a lot of that too. I mean, the random person will be like, hey, I'm on the strip, you know, I'd love to have dinner. Who the fuck are you? Like,
yeah, right.
But I understand, because if you think about the people that you follow, the famous people, you feel like you know them in a lot of ways because you see their stories,
Correct.
see where they are.
Well, and they connect with you, they connect with their audience. You're like, they're talking to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And some random cashier will just want to talk about the dinner I had last night, and they don't even intro themselves or whatever. They just start talking because they feel like.
Yeah,
just know
you built a community. You built it to be comfortable to do that, but at the same time, people have to understand, like, you know, I don't even know you.
Right. So I do have a default message where I say, hey, I get that you think you know me through social. Yeah, I don't want to offend you, but I don't feel entirely comfortable meeting people I haven't really talked with. Or if you have a private account and you're wearing a ski mask, I mean, no, I'm not.
You're not even going to get a message back. It's going to get left on red. I hope so. I hope you're not meeting up with people with ski masks. They're like, yeah, I got a ski mask, bro, if you want to meet up.
Right.
Let's hang out at ski masks.
So, but yeah, sometimes I'll be like, hey, you know, I'm having dinner here. If you want to just say hi or take a picture, then we can meet at like 5 o'clock.
So, yeah, so that you're kind of famous. You are famous. In a sense. Las Vegas famous or no. More than that.
I wouldn't say, okay, there's a small segment of people who are really into food that sometimes recognize who I am because I fucking look like a thumb with glasses. It's a bald head and glasses. I mean, it's not hard to.
I fit in. They say I look like the average white guy. You know, so I'm just like, they're like, is that Vanilla right? Nah, that's just a guy that looks like him.
Yeah, a lot of the bald Asian guys in Vegas. You know, one guy maybe a couple weeks ago, we were at a restaurant. He says, "People think I'm you."
Stop it
all the time. And
I think you posted
that.
Yeah. Did you posted something like that?
Yeah, I'm like, I'm sorry, man.
You're like, sorry, I had to do that to you.
Like, if you get free food, my fault, dog. Yeah, if you get free food once or twice, good for you.
You're like, it's actually a perk if you look like me. That's great.
But
you get recognized at a lot of places. Like, how's your life changed since starting social media?
So, the biggest thing is the freedom.
Okay.
To do whatever I want, whenever I want, set my own schedule, not have a 9 to 5. I mean, quitting my 9 to 5 job was like the greatest thing ever, and it feels like a lifetime ago. Fame
didn't you say you're like 85, right?
Huh?
You said you're like
85.
So it was a lifetime ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But getting recognized is cool. I mean, it's happened enough now that it's not surprising whenever it happens. But that's not why I'm in it. I mean, it just happens to work out that way sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think
comes with it.
Yeah, but I think the biggest thing for social media for me was the freedom to set my own schedule, and if I want to go to Japan for 3 weeks and work remotely, fuck, I can do that.
Wow.
And it's awesome. Having that freedom is really the best thing that's happened with me in social media.
That's incredible, man.
Yeah.
What a great life you've built. I want to touch on, you know, the influencers. I want to go back to the ones that are coming up and everything, right? Is there anything that you see them doing wrong in a sense? Like, because everybody is kind of, I guess I will bring up Keith Lee. Everybody wants to think that one post is going to blow them up and turn them Keith Lee level or turn them Las Vegas Phil level. My brother's in the music industry. I see it with artists. Everybody wants to be that next, you know, Drake.
Music's tough. Holy hell.
You know, Drake and so, you know, and that's what everybody's doing it for, because a lot of the up and coming ones, they still work jobs and they're just looking for that big break. But is there anything or any advice that you'd give to the foodies that are, influencers that are up and coming, things that you see wrong or things that you would do differently?
I wouldn't say it's wrong, but here's what I would do. Pick places that you feel passionate about. And if you really honestly feel that way deep down in your heart, I think it's going to resonate with other people as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing to me. Don't just say, this is a burger. Tell me why you love this burger.
Yeah. Explain the flavors through the camera.
Explain something of why this is the place you put.
Man, this pizza is good. That's it?
Right. Right.
And I know what pizza tastes like, but I want to know what that pizza tastes like.
Right. Why this one over another? Things like that. So I think as long as you have passion in whatever you're doing, not just food, but anything, it's going to resonate with other people. And I think, especially for foodie influencers, looking at angles, looking at how you do things, like sometimes, especially if they choose the wrong side of where the chef is cooking, all you get is
arm.
a ton of elbow and arm, and that's something that a lot of people just need to kind of work on. But if you stay consistent, your 10th post will be better than your first, your 100th post will be better than your 10th, and just keep chipping away. Like, people think Keith Lee was an overnight success, or me, or whoever, but there was a lot of posts leading up to that big one, and a lot of trial and error to make it happen.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's just a true entrepreneur journey.
Sure.
Whether it's just a different industry.
Yep.
Whether it's a restaurant, influencers, photography business, T-shirts. It's all the same thing. Consistency,
passion.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be really into what you're doing.
That's
and if you're not, then you should consider something else. Yeah.
I love it.
Sure.
I know you said you had a few questions for me. I don't know if you already asked them.
So how has this podcast journey been for you, and what's that been like?
I've actually never. I've been on a few podcasts, and I watch a lot of podcasts.
What are your favorite ones?
Well, so when I was a little bit younger and I was super into hip hop, it was the Gilly and the Gilly and Wallow. But I love. I started off with like TED Talks, which aren't necessarily podcasts, but they're videos. Joe Rogan. Let's see. Tom Bilyeu. What's the one he? Impact Theory.
Okay.
So are those technically, would those be podcasts? I mean, they're sitting down like this and
right.
It's filmed, but I watch them on YouTube.
Yeah.
I never watched it on the podcast app. I've always watched YouTube videos.
I think YouTube is where the podcasts are now. I rarely listen to audio. I want the visual with it.
Yeah.
So if I'm editing videos or stuff like that, that's when I kind of consume my podcast content.
Yeah. So people like that. Trying to think of a couple more. I just watch a lot of interviews, pretty much, in the sense, and I've just watched all that because like right now I'm watching a lot on Tillman Fertitta. Like, I'm watching him. I just watched this morning on my 2-mile walk. I was listening to Tom Bilyeu and Lewis Howes interview him, and I just love listening and finding out information, because you never know what your guest is going to say, right? It could be the same stuff, but sometimes that's good because you got to hear it multiple times. But my journey's been great. I love it so far. We're on, this is your guest number, how many, Joey? I knocked out like 4 in one day, bro.
Oh, dang.
2 weeks ago. 5, yeah.
Wow, very cool.
I've only released, one technically, and then the second one we're going to announce the release today. But I love it, bro. I love it for not only giving, food entrepreneurs a platform. I wanted to differentiate myself in the space as well. And also want to build up all the brands,
Because for me personally, it's been tough to dedicate the time to writing up the show and kind of thinking about bits and things like that. So
you do a more interactive style.
I do, but maybe I shouldn't, because I don't know.
It takes a lot of time to think about it.
It takes a lot of time, and the numbers haven't been phenomenal. I'm just being real. I don't know.
I was going to say, maybe you, and I don't know if you would want to do this, but maybe post the snippets on your page. I mean, that.
Yes.
But it kind of would convolute with your.
I mean, the posts I've done have bombed. They always, the really? Podcast content always bombs. I mean, Drew was doing a lot of that for the Residency, and even though the Residency is a wildly popular podcast, they would be 300 likes max on his page.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like I said, I've only dropped one, so I don't know yet. I mean, we'll find out. But just like you said, brother, earlier, consistency. Your 10th one's gonna be better than your first. Your 100th one's gonna be better than your 10th. Just keep going. True. If you really want to do it.
Yeah, I agree. So really, I just promote on the stories. I haven't seen really a significant boost even from the posts promoting the episode. Like if I donk you on, I'll post something and it'll go crazy, but it doesn't reflect onto numbers. So perhaps maybe asking people to go from one app to another is too much.
Yeah, so that's why I was saying possibly doing the post of just the snippets, and then if someone's interested to listen to the whole thing, I think that might be the best bet.
Yeah,
I'm not a podcast expert. This is my
I'm not either.
My only guess.
Yeah, 1 year into it, but funny how it seems like
I watch them.
the YouTubers.
I watch them. I don't know.
Thank you.
You know, I
Thank
definitely
you.
get interested because I want to hear what. I mean, these are the popular influencers, you know, that you've got on there, and I want to hear if they might have something either juicy to say or something valuable to say. Most of
Right.
the time, it's valuable.
Yeah.
Right. Most of the time, I'm like, oh, I didn't even know you thought of that. Or sometimes I'm thinking of something. I'm thinking of something, and then they say it, and I'm like, I knew it. I knew this person thought that and that, and this and that, and the way they pose. I knew it, and so that's why I enjoy watching them.
Yeah, we've only had a couple of controversial ones.
But that's
I won't
the
name
best.
who, but yes, those are probably the ones that people want.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that I want to be in that realm.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing great with all the stuff you've got going on as well. I mean, you're just 15 accounts, and then all the single posts you do. I mean, I can imagine the work you already on your plate. I mean, you eat enough plates every night. I
Sure.
can imagine all the work
Sure.
on your plate. So I want to ask you a few more things.
Yeah.
You know, obviously this has been a slew of, you said around 2017 is when you started.
Mhm.
We're going on 2024. It's a great run.
Yep.
What's the next, 5 to 10 years looking like for Las Vegas Phil, the brand?
That's a great question. Really, short term is really increasing my presence on YouTube. Long format stuff. I have a few videos in the can. I just need to put it together
Gotcha.
and figure that out. But I think as YouTube continues to promote shorts and bring in more original content to that page and the NFL package and things like that, there's just going to be more eyeballs on YouTube, and it's going to be
Yeah.
more of a synergistic thing and how that all goes around. So that's short term. Long term is really just it probably has nothing to do with social media. It's really just quality of life and exploring, traveling more, and all those things will influence me to how I shoot and how I look at things, whether it's food or something else.
That's
But
incredible.
really, I just want to do whatever I want to do.
I want to do whatever I want to do.
Pretty
That's
much.
that's great for the future.
Yeah.
I want to do the same thing.
Yeah, so some place will
I
be like,
agree.
"Hey, I have a dental place. I'd love you to run my social media." I'm like, that sounds like work. You know what?
That's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think cracking teeth is what
Yeah.
I want to do. But if all the apps fall apart and I get terrible engagement, maybe I'll have to go that route, which will be fine.
Which would be funny
yeah.
too, Like
Yeah.
Las Vegas Phil's doing some dentist work.
I've run some weird accounts in the past.
Yeah.
I've done an apartment building that focused
an
on
apartment building.
Yeah, I ran social for an apartment building that focused on big dogs and people who smoked weed.
Was that in Vegas?
Yeah,
Where's that at? Is it still
it's
around?
called the Lennox.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that's what they focus on.
that was their marketing at that time.
Interesting. Wow. Probably
yeah.
got a lot of people there. Probably packed.
I think so. But
The
posting weed
vacancy
is
was probably
always-
zero.
yeah, probably. But so I have branched out and done stuff like that, and I definitely learned a lot from that. But I mean, long term, I don't even know, man, because you talk to me in 2020 what things would be like now. I mean, I would never have imagined
Really?
it'd be like this now at all. But I think what's eventually going to happen, VR is going to be more popular,
Yeah.
and I think that's just going to be the way eventually
Las
people
Vegas
will
Phil
be.
in the metaverse.
Right, will be eventually how they'll be consuming content is with the whenever those Apple things get cheaper. I mean, that's how people are going to be consuming content, and I think the dining experience will be me, watching my steak be served, and I don't know how that's all going to work, but I
pull
think
up
it's
on Uber Eats or something.
a way more immersive, a way more VR type experience. I think that's what's coming. I don't know which app's going to set that up,
Yeah.
but that's where it's going to go.
That's incredible, man. Well, you have done nothing but just grown year after year. All your accomplishments and your socials and what you do for restaurants is incredible.
Thanks,
I'm so
man.
appreciative of you being on here. One last question. This
Yeah.
is the Rich Off Food podcast. What does rich off food mean to you?
So rich off of food, to me, means freedom, to be honest. And the money's great, and that's just a byproduct of good work. And so being able to set my schedule and do things in life that I just want to do is really been the best thing. And so being rich in life has been the most important thing to me.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Phil, for coming.
Yeah.
I
Thanks for
appreciate it. I
having me
feel like
on.
we could talk for another 2 hours.
Yeah.
Let this camera know right here anything you want to say, any extra things, where to find you at.
Find me at all the platforms at Las Vegas Phil, FILL, and tune into future episodes of Rich Off Food Podcast.
Hey, you heard it here first. Like I said, like, subscribe, follow, do all that stuff you do on podcast. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.